What if one small notification could expose a truth that changes everything? Linda Parker never thought she would be the kind of woman who checked someone else's phone. She believed in privacy. She believed in trust. But that Sunday evening, standing in her kitchen in suburban Chicago, she felt something shift inside her that she could not ignore. The house was full. Laughter drifted from the living room where Megan was folding baby blankets. Ryan stood outside on the deck, flipping burgers and joking with neighbors who had stopped by. It was an ordinary family dinner, the kind Linda had hosted for years. Simple. Warm. Predictable. Ryan's phone sat on the kitchen counter near the sink. He had left it there when he went outside. Linda barely noticed it at first. She was focused on slicing vegetables and setting plates. But then the screen lit up. A name she didn't recognize appeared. Followed by a heart emoji. Linda froze. She told herself not to look. It wasn't her place. It could mean nothing. Work messages sometimes had strange nicknames. People used emojis casually these days. She picked up a dish towel and turned away. The phone buzzed again. This time the message preview was visible. Short. Personal. Intimate enough to raise questions. Linda's heart started to pound. She looked toward the doorway. No one was watching. The baby monitor hummed softly on the table. Megan was upstairs now, putting her son down for a nap. Ryan was still outside. Linda's fingers trembled as she picked up the phone. She didn't unlock it. She didn't need to. The notification banner showed enough. Words that didn't belong in a happy marriage. Words that hinted at meetings, secrecy, longing. Her breath caught. She felt heat rush to her face. Not anger at first. Shock. Disbelief. She had welcomed Ryan into the family 5 years ago. She remembered the day Megan introduced him, how polite he had been, how steady. He had seemed dependable. Safe. Linda placed the phone back exactly where it had been. She adjusted it slightly so it looked untouched. Her mind raced, but her hands moved calmly. She finished setting the table. She stirred the sauce. She smiled when the neighbors complimented the food. Dinner felt different after that. Ryan returned inside, laughing easily. He kissed Megan on the cheek. He bounced his son gently in his arms. He looked like a devoted husband. A loving father. Linda studied him carefully. She watched for guilt, for signs of tension. But Ryan looked relaxed. Comfortable. If he was hiding something, he was doing it well. Megan sat across from him, smiling. She talked about a project at work. She leaned into him casually, touching his arm as she laughed. Linda felt a sharp ache in her chest. Her daughter trusted him completely. Linda forced herself to eat. Every bite felt heavy. She kept her voice steady, her expression neutral. Inside, she was calculating. Thinking. Weighing possibilities. Maybe she misunderstood. Maybe it was harmless. But the tone of the message replayed in her mind. It didn't sound professional. It didn't sound friendly. It sounded secret. After dinner, as dishes were being cleared, Ryan's phone buzzed again. He quickly grabbed it this time. Too quickly. His eyes flickered toward Linda for a brief second before he turned away and typed a reply. That was the moment her doubt disappeared. She knew. Later that night, when everyone had left and the house was quiet, Linda sat alone at her kitchen table. The overhead light cast long shadows across the room. She folded her hands and stared at nothing. She thought about Megan as a child. About scraped knees and school plays. About heartbreaks she had cried over in high school. Linda had always been there to protect her. To guide her. To shield her from pain when possible. Now the pain was closer. Bigger. Linda felt anger rising slowly. Not loud or explosive, but controlled. Sharp. She didn't want to destroy her daughter's world without certainty. But she also couldn't pretend she hadn't seen what she saw. She asked herself what kind of mother stays silent. What kind of mother confronts without proof? Every option felt risky. If she told Megan immediately and was wrong, she would damage trust. If she stayed silent and was right, she would be complicit in betrayal. She thought about Ryan's face during dinner. The casual laughter. The ease. It bothered her more than the message. Linda stood up and walked to the living room window. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. Streetlights glowed softly. Families inside their homes believed in the safety of routine. She realized something then. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about deception. About allowing someone to live in a reality that wasn't true. Linda felt a firm decision settle in her chest. She would not explode. She would not accuse in front of Megan. She would be calm. Careful. Strategic. She would speak to Ryan alone. She would give him a chance to explain. And if the explanation failed, she would decide what came next. The next morning, she texted him, "Can we talk?" "Just us." His reply came quickly. "Sure. Everything okay?" Linda stared at the message for a moment. She typed back, "We'll talk in person." She put her phone down and exhaled slowly. She had crossed an invisible line the moment she picked up that phone. There was no going back to ignorance. No returning to peaceful dinners without tension. Something had shifted in their family, and by this time tomorrow, everything might be different. How far would a mother go to protect her child from heartbreak? Ryan arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. That alone told Linda he was nervous. He chose a table in the corner, away from the windows. He kept checking his phone, then locking it again. When Linda walked in, calm and composed, he stood up quickly, almost knocking his chair back. She didn't smile. She didn't waste time. After a brief greeting, she sat down and folded her hands on the table. Her eyes were steady. "I saw the messages," she said quietly. Ryan's face lost color. For a second, he looked confused. Then he understood. His shoulders dropped. The silence between them felt heavy, thick with truth. "What messages?" he tried, but his voice lacked strength. Linda didn't blink. "Don't make this worse." He leaned back, rubbing his forehead. The confident man from Sunday dinner was gone. In his place was someone exposed. "It's not what you think," he said. "It's complicated." Linda felt anger rise, but she kept it controlled. "It looked simple to me." He stared at the table. He admitted there had been someone from work. He said it started as friendly conversations. Long hours. Stress. Compliments. It made him feel seen. Important. He said he never meant for it to go this far. Linda listened without interrupting. Her heart pounded, but her voice remained calm. "Does Megan know?" Ryan shook his head quickly. "No. And I don't want her to. It's over. I can end it. I will." The words sounded rushed, desperate. Linda studied him. She wasn't just hearing excuses. She was measuring character. She was deciding whether this man deserved another chance in her daughter's life. "You will end it," she said firmly. "Today." Ryan nodded. "I will. And you will prove it." He looked up, surprised. "Prove it?" "Yes. You will show me the message where you end it." Clearly. No confusion. He hesitated. Pride flickered in his eyes. But fear followed. He knew she had leverage. If Linda told Megan, the damage would be instant. "Why are you doing this?" he asked softly. Linda leaned forward slightly. "Because my daughter deserves honesty. And because I will not watch her build a life on a lie." Ryan swallowed. "Please don't tell her. It will destroy her." Linda's jaw tightened. "You should have thought about that." The tension between them shifted. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about power. Control. Protection. Ryan finally nodded again. "I'll end it. I'll block her. I'll focus on my marriage." Linda wasn't finished. "You will also start counseling with Megan." He blinked. "Counseling?" "Yes. You will fix what you broke. Not just hide it." Ryan looked cornered. "If we go to counseling, she'll know something is wrong." Linda's voice softened, but her words stayed firm. Something is wrong. He fell silent for a moment. Linda saw something else in his expression. Not just guilt. Fear. But also shame. Real shame. I love Megan, he said quietly. I do. Linda studied his face, searching for truth. Love can exist beside weakness. She knew that. She had lived long enough to understand people were not simple, but love without responsibility meant nothing. You have one chance, she said. One. If I see one more message, one more sign, I will tell her everything myself. Ryan nodded slowly. Okay. The meeting ended without warmth. No handshake. No comfort. Just an agreement built on tension. When Linda walked out of the cafe, her hands trembled slightly. She had done something she never imagined. She had stepped into her daughter's marriage. She had drawn a line, but as she reached her car, doubt crept in. Had she protected Megan? Or had she started something she couldn't control? That evening, Ryan sent a screenshot. A message ending the affair. Clear. Final. He blocked the number. He wrote that he was choosing his family. Linda stared at the screen for a long time. Relief mixed with unease. It felt too simple. Too clean. Days passed. Ryan became attentive at home. He brought flowers. He helped more with the baby. He planned a date night for Megan. Megan seemed surprised but happy. She told her mother, he's been different lately. In a good way. Linda forced a smile. She felt both satisfied and unsettled. Then something unexpected happened. Ryan began texting Linda updates. Small things. We booked counseling. Date night went well. Thank you for giving me a chance. The messages were respectful. Careful. But they created a strange connection between them. A shared secret. Linda didn't like it. It felt heavy. She had power now. She knew something Megan didn't. That knowledge changed how she saw every interaction. When Megan laughed, Linda wondered if it was real. When Ryan smiled, she wondered if it was guilt. One afternoon, Linda received a message from an unknown number. I think you're the reason he ended things. Her heart stopped. It was the other woman. The message continued. You don't know the full story. Linda stared at the phone, her pulse racing. She had believed she was in control. That she had ended it cleanly, but secrets rarely disappear quietly. She didn't reply. She deleted the message. But the words stayed in her mind. What full story? That night, she couldn't sleep. Doubt crept in again. Had Ryan told her everything? Had she misjudged the situation? She realized something chilling. By choosing to handle this alone, she had placed herself at the center of something fragile. If the truth came out now, Megan wouldn't just learn about the affair. She would learn that her mother knew. And chose silence. Linda lay awake staring at the ceiling. For the first time, she wondered if protecting her daughter meant telling her the truth, no matter how painful, because secrets don't disappear, they wait. What if the truth you tried to control finds its own way out? Linda thought she had handled everything. She believed she had closed the door quietly, locked it, and thrown away the key. But secrets don't stay silent. They wait for the right moment. And that moment came faster than she expected. It was a gray Tuesday afternoon when Megan showed up at her mother's house without calling. That alone felt wrong. Megan always texted first. Always planned. But this time she walked in with red eyes and shaking hands. Linda's heart dropped before a word was spoken. Megan, she asked softly. Megan didn't sit down. She didn't smile. She stood in the middle of the living room like someone who had just lost her balance. Mom, she said, her voice unsteady, how long did you know? The question hit like a sudden storm. Linda felt the air leave her lungs. She tried to stay calm. Know what? Megan's eyes filled with tears. About Ryan. Everything stopped. Linda's mind raced. She hadn't told her. She had been careful. She had protected her. So how? The woman contacted me, Megan said, her voice breaking. She sent messages. Screenshots. She said she didn't want to be part of a lie anymore. Linda felt cold. So the door she thought she had closed had never really been locked. Megan walked toward the couch and sat down heavily. Did you know? She asked again. Silence stretched between them. Linda could lie. She could pretend she had just found out. But that would only deepen the damage. Yes, Linda whispered. Megan's face changed. Shock. Hurt. Confusion. You knew? Linda nodded slowly. She explained everything. The phone. The cafe. The agreement. The counseling. She tried to speak clearly, calmly, but each word felt heavier than the last. I was trying to protect you, she finished. Megan stared at her as if she were seeing her for the first time. Protect me from what? The truth? Linda flinched. I didn't want you blindsided, Linda said. I wanted him to fix it before you got hurt. But I was already hurt, Megan replied. And now I feel foolish. Like everyone knew except me. That wasn't true. But it felt true to Megan, and that mattered more. Megan stood up and began pacing. He told me you made him end it. That you threatened to tell me. Linda closed her eyes briefly. So Ryan had confessed. Maybe guilt finally pushed him. He said he was ashamed, Megan continued. He said he didn't want to lose us. But why didn't he come to me first? The pain in her voice cut deep. Linda realized something painful in that moment. By stepping in, she had changed the shape of the truth. Instead of Ryan choosing honesty, he had been pushed into it. Instead of Megan facing betrayal directly, she was now also facing her mother's secrecy. I thought I was helping, Linda said quietly. Megan stopped pacing. You were trying to control it. The word control echoed in the room. Linda had never liked that word. She saw herself as strong. Protective. But now she saw the thin line she had crossed. There was more. Megan wasn't finished. I'd been unhappy for months, she admitted softly. Before this. Linda looked up, surprised. We barely talk anymore, Megan continued. We live in the same house, but it feels distant. I thought it was stress. The baby. Work. But maybe it's more. This wasn't the simple story Linda had imagined. It wasn't a perfect marriage ruined by one mistake. It was a fragile relationship that had been cracking quietly for a long time. Did you want to leave him? Linda asked gently. Megan hesitated. I didn't know what I wanted. Tears slipped down her face. But I wanted the choice to be mine. That sentence hit Linda harder than anything else. The choice. By stepping in, she had taken that from her daughter. Even if her intentions were pure, the result had shifted power away from Megan. Later that evening, Ryan arrived at Linda's house. Megan had called him to come over. There would be no more secrets. The tension in the room was thick. Ryan looked exhausted. His confidence was gone. He stood in front of both women and admitted everything. Not just the affair, but his fear. His weakness. His shame. I didn't want to lose my family, he said. But I didn't know how to fix what I broke. Megan listened quietly. She didn't scream. She didn't insult him. That almost made it harder. Why didn't you tell me yourself? She asked. Ryan lowered his head. I was scared. The honesty felt late. But it was honest. Linda stayed mostly silent. This wasn't her moment anymore. Then Megan turned to her mother. I need space, she said softly. From both of you. Linda felt a sharp pain in her chest. Space. Megan left that night with the baby and stayed at a friend's apartment. The house felt empty after she walked out. Linda sat alone in her kitchen again, just like weeks before. But this time, the silence was heavier. She had wanted to protect her daughter from heartbreak. Instead, she had added another layer of pain. Her phone buzzed. A message from Megan. I love you. I just need time. Linda held the phone tightly. Love was still there. But trust had been shaken. Across town, Megan sat alone in a small apartment, staring at her wedding ring on the table. She wasn't sure if she wanted to keep fighting for her marriage or let it go. Ryan sat in their empty home, realizing that his mistake had done more than break trust. It had exposed every weakness they had ignored. 3 people. One secret. And now everything was out in the open, but the hardest part was still ahead because truth doesn't fix things instantly. It forces choices. Can a family survive when trust is broken from every side? The days after Megan left felt long and uncertain. Silence filled the spaces where laughter used to live. Linda woke up each morning with a heavy feeling in her chest. She had always believed that love meant stepping in, fixing problems before they exploded. Now she wasn't sure Megan stayed with her friend Claire for a week. She needed distance. Not just from Ryan, but from her mother too. She answered texts politely but briefly. She focused on her son. She went on long walks. She thought about the life she wanted, not the life she felt pressured to keep. Ryan called Linda once, but she didn't answer. This wasn't her battle anymore. She had already interfered too much. She realized that if anything was going to heal, it had to happen without her control. One evening, Megan asked Ryan to meet her at a quiet park near Lake Michigan. The air was cold. The sky gray. They sat on a bench facing the water, leaving space between them. Ryan spoke first. No excuses. No blaming work or stress. He admitted he had felt distant for a long time. Instead of talking about it, he escaped into attention from someone else. He said it was selfish. Weak. He said he never stopped loving her, but he stopped trying. Megan listened carefully. She didn't interrupt. When he finished, she told him her side. She felt alone after the baby was born. Overwhelmed. Invisible. She had tried to tell him, but every conversation turned into small arguments. So she stopped talking too. They both sat quietly after that. 2 people realizing that silence had grown between them long before betrayal did. I don't know if I can trust you, Megan said honestly. I understand, Ryan replied. But I want to earn it back. The words were simple. No promises of perfection. Just effort. Meanwhile, Linda sat at home thinking about her own past. Years ago, her marriage had ended because of secrets and pride. She remembered how painful it was when others gave advice instead of support. She saw now that she had repeated that pattern. She had acted from fear, not faith in her daughter's strength. 2 days later, Megan visited her mother. The meeting felt careful, like walking on thin ice. They sat at the kitchen table where everything had begun. I was angry, Megan admitted. Not just about Ryan. About you keeping it from me. Linda nodded. I was wrong to decide for you. Megan looked surprised by how direct the apology was. I thought I was protecting you, Linda continued. But I forgot you're not a child anymore. You deserve to face your own life. There were tears, but not dramatic ones. Just quiet understanding. I still need time, Megan said. I know, Linda replied. For the first time in weeks, the tension between them eased. Not gone. But softer. Over the next month, Megan and Ryan began counseling together. It wasn't easy. Old arguments resurfaced. Painful questions were asked. But they stayed in the room. They didn't walk out. That alone was progress. Ryan changed small habits first. He came home earlier. Put his phone away at dinner. Checked in emotionally, not just practically. Megan noticed. She didn't forgive instantly, but she saw. Effort. Trust rebuilt slowly. Not through grand gestures, but through consistency. One evening after counseling, Megan invited Ryan back home. Not as a final decision, but as a step. They agreed to keep talking honestly, even when it felt uncomfortable. Linda kept her distance. She visited when invited. She listened more than she spoke. She learned that support sometimes means silence. Months passed. The tension that once felt sharp began to soften into something steadier. Megan and Ryan were not the same couple they had been before. In some ways, they were more fragile. In others, stronger. They understood now how easily distance could grow. One Sunday, the family gathered again at Linda's house. The same kitchen. The same table. But everything felt different. More aware. More honest. Ryan helped set the table. Megan laughed softly as their son ran across the room. Linda watched them carefully, not with suspicion, but with humility. Later that night, after everyone left, Megan stayed behind for a moment. "We're not perfect," she said quietly. "But we're trying." Linda smiled gently. "That's enough." There was still history between them. Mistakes that could not be erased. But they were no longer hidden. The truth had been painful, but it had cleared the air. Linda finally understood something important. Love cannot be forced into shape. It cannot be controlled into safety. It has to be chosen freely, every day. As Megan drove home that evening, she glanced at Ryan beside her. They weren't healed completely. But they were honest. And honesty felt stronger than illusion. Back in her quiet house, Linda stood by the window and looked out at the calm street. Weeks ago, she had believed one secret would destroy everything. Instead, it had revealed cracks that needed attention. The family wasn't perfect. But it was real, and sometimes, surviving the truth is stronger than pretending nothing is wrong.